Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala.
So, some of you remember 6 years ago on January 14th, when we inaugurated this shrine, we had the good fortune of having the Reverend Swami Sarvapriyananda Maharaj come for that day and give us a little talk. And also we have the good fortune also of having, he passed away, Swami Sarvapriyananda passed away about 1.5 years ago. And the new minister and spiritual leader of the Vedanta Society of New York kindly accepted our invitation to come and speak to us today. And some of you know Swami Sarvapriyananda and have met him at the center there and had attended many of his talks and during the functions there. So I'm just going to give you a little briefing on his background. He joined the order in 1994 and took sannyas in 2004. And then he was posted in the Hollywood temple there for a year prior to coming here. But prior to that, Swami served as the Acharya teacher to the monastic brahmacharis there, training in the training center in Belur Mutt. He has served the Ramakrishna Mutt in mission in various capacities, including being vice principal of the Degar Vidyapit Higher Secondary School and the principal of the Shikashana Mandira Teacher Education College at Belur Mutt, and the first registrar of the Vivekananda University at Belur Mutt. He has kindly accepted our invitation to address us on the practical methods of understanding and experiencing true spiritual fulfillment. So I'd like to welcome Swamiji.
Celebrating Ramana Jayanti. Thank you for having me. The best teaching is the one given by Bhagwana Ramana, the teaching which is given in silence. Shankaracharya says in his Dakshinamurti Stotram, Gurostu maunam vyakhyanam, shishyastu chinna samshaya. The teacher teaches in silence and the doubts of the disciples are dispelled. That is the best teaching, and that's the preferred method which Ramana Maharshi used to transmit enlightenment. But since I am here, and if I stand in silence for 1 hour, I have a feeling you people are going to be a mite disappointed. So I guess I'd better say a few words. I heard this story, which may or may not be true. It was in a talk about Ramana Maharshi. So it's an anecdote about Ramana Maharshi. The story is very instructive. It seems one day a gentleman went to Ramana Maharshi and expressed his feeling that he was not particularly interested in the who am I method of inquiry. He was a devotee who loved God, loved Narayana, and his preferred method was bhakti, devotion to God. So he asked Ramana Maharshi that I really am not so much interested in who am I inquiring, but I love Narayana. So is it all right? Ramana Maharshi says, according to the anecdote, I don't know how historically accurate it is, Ramana Maharshi said, yes, it's all right. Oh, it's all right. And then after death, will I go to Vaikuntha, the abode of God, Vishnu, Narayana? Ramana Maharshi said, yes, you will. Oh, I will. And there will I see Narayana? Yes, you will. Oh, I'll see Narayana. Yes. And will Narayana speak to me? Yes, Narayana will speak to you. Oh, God's going to speak to me. Narayana will speak to me. Yes. And what will he say to me? And Ramana Maharshi said, he'll say to you, find out who I am. Now that seems to capture the essence of Ramana's teachings, Bhagwan Ramana's teachings. You see, the core teaching of Advaita Vedanta is that you are Brahman, the existence, consciousness, bliss, Satchidananda. When are you Brahman? Where are you Brahman? Will I be Brahman when I am in heaven? No. Wherever you are Brahman. There's no specific place we have to go to become Brahman. You don't have to go to the Himalayas or even to Arunachala or even to Tirupati or anywhere to become Brahman. You are Brahman wherever you are. When are we Brahman? When I'll die, after that I will become Brahman. Right now I'm a human being. No. You are Brahman exactly as you are right now. Some people think, I will be Brahman when I get samadhi or when I get enlightenment. That's right. When I realize that I am Brahman, then only I am Brahman. No, not even that. Even when we have not yet realized, Advaita Vedanta makes this bold claim, even when you have not yet realized, even when we think that we are this body-mind, this thing, at this very moment, you are none other than Brahman. So there is no time limitation. No limitation that at this time you are a jiva, an individual being, and at that particular time you will become Brahman. No time limitation. No place limitation. No time limitation. You are Brahman wherever you are Brahman whenever. At all times and at all places. Now that's nice. When we hear this, it's nice to hear, but we have a question. We sort of scratch our heads and say, if I may, the American phrase is rain on your parade. That's all right, but I don't feel it. I don't know it. I don't realize it. It doesn't seem to be real to me. That's our question. So our real problem boils down to this, that though it may very well be that we are Brahman right now, we are Satchidananda, we are liberated, it may very well be true. But I need to feel it. I need to know it. It needs to be real that I am Satchidananda. So the whole thing about spiritual life, spirituality, is becoming aware of what we already are, according to Advaita Vedanta. The monks in the Himalayas, they have a nice phrase for this. What do you get when you practice spiritual life? When you're on the path of Advaita, what do you get finally? And the answer they give is very interesting. What happens in spiritual life, I'll give you the Hindi first and then translate. What happens in spiritual life, they say, praptasya prapti, nivrittasya nivritti. What you have already got, you will get that. What kind of thing is that? What was never there goes away. The fact that you never body and mind, that becomes clear. That body and mind identity, that goes away. You never were body and mind, and so the body and mind identity goes away. You always were Brahman. That becomes clear, evident. So it's put in a very nice way. You get what you've already got. And what was never there goes away. That's the whole point of spiritual practice. Because we have this question, that I don't know I am Brahman. It could be that I am Brahman, but I don't know it. How do I know this? When that question comes, the whole question of spiritual practice comes before us. Spiritual practice, the subject was sadhana. That's the subject for today, practical sadhana. The Sanskrit word sadhana has two dimensions. Sadhyam and sadhanam. Sadhyam means a goal to be reached. Sadhyam means what I want. So I want to come to Arunachala Ashram. So that's my goal, sadhyam. And for that I need a sadhana. Yeah. Swami Vivekananda once said that I'm fully convinced that when a baby cries, he's actually expressing the highest philosophy. It's only that we do not understand it. Yes. So, sadhyam is the goal to be attained, and sadhanam is the instrument or the method that we use. So, I want to come to Arunachala Ashram, that's sadhyam. And the car that I drive to come here, that's sadhana. So, sadhana and sadhya, the method that we use and the goal that we are going to attain. What is the goal here? In Advaita Vedanta, the goal becomes very interesting because you already are Brahman. The goal is already attained. You are Brahman. Right? So what do you do? It's already attained. You don't need a method. All that you need a method for is to dispel the ignorance that you are not Brahman. That we strongly feel that there is something wrong, which Bhagavan Buddha called dukkha. We strongly feel that we are suffering. We strongly feel that though the scriptures tell us that you are Brahman, we strongly feel that we are not Brahman. This feeling, this is called ignorance in Advaita Vedanta, ajnana, that we do not know what we already are. So this ignorance has to be dispelled. Shankaracharya often uses in his commentaries a phrase, avidya kama karma. Avidya kama karma. Avidya kama karma means ignorance, desire, and desire-prompted action. This generates the network of samsara we are bound in. So avidya kama karma, what is this ignorance? I do not know I am Brahman. I do not know that I am truly infinite. I do not know I am Purnam, complete. That's ignorance. Not knowing this, it leads to the next thing, the kama, desire. I do not know I am complete, hence I want to be complete. So I feel if I get money, I'll be complete. If I get a relationship, I'll be complete. If I get a house and a car and the latest iPhone, I will be complete. I never am. Nobody ever has been complete in this way. But this persists, this persisting delusion. If I add something to myself, then I will be complete. Then I'll be fulfilled. I'll be happy if I get that particular thing or that relationship or whatever. And then I will be really, really happy and I don't want anything more. This delusion, this is kama. Where did it come from? Ignorance. Avidya, ignorance, and then kama. In between is error, bhranti, or in Sanskrit, in technical terms, adhyasa. An error happens. See, when I do not know that it's a rope, then the possibility of making a mistake appears, that I'll think it's a snake. Not knowing it's a rope, I think it's a snake. If I knew it was a rope, I would never make that mistake. If I knew I was Brahman, I would never make the mistake of thinking I'm body and mind, even while experiencing body and mind. There's so numerous stories about how Ramana kept correcting this error. For us, that's Ramana Maharshi. If you ask Ramana Maharshi that, are you this thing, this body and mind, no matter how beautiful, somebody said it's the most beautiful face ever seen, Ramana's face. He would say, no, I'm not this thing. But we make the mistake that we are this body-mind. From that error comes desire. The body needs something. It needs food and shelter and warmth, especially in this cold weather. So I need food, shelter, and warmth. The mind has many, many more desires. The desires of the body are not particularly bad. The desires of the mind are manifold more. So I think I need them because I think I am the body-mind. And prompted by desire, we engage in action, kama, karma. Once we engage in action, we are caught in the network of karma. Results keep coming to us. Karma, phala. Good action, punya, merit, and you get happiness. Bad action, if you're particularly naughty, then it leads to papa or demerit, and the result is misery. And we are caught in this network of pleasure and pain, generated by our own merits and demerits. Those are generated by our own actions, good and bad. And the actions are generated by desire, and desire is generated by ignorance. So the root cause of our trouble, even though you and I and all of us are Brahman, that self which Ramana Maharshi speaks about, we are that. We are one with Ramana. We are one with Ramana Maharshi right now. We always were. This ignorance that we are not, this ignorance alone has to be dispelled. So all of sadhana, this is the one point I'm making. Sadhana, method to attain a goal, sadhyam. So all of sadhana is meant to attain a goal not of becoming Brahman. You are that already. The method is meant only to remove ignorance about the fact that we are Brahman. So this is the takeaway. Today all I'm going to speak about is the whole purpose of sadhana is to remove this ignorance. Not to make us Brahman, but to remove the ignorance that we are not Brahman. Not to make us all right, but to remove the ignorance that everything is not all right. So that's the goal of sadhana in Advaita Vedanta. Removing ignorance. Ignorance about what? Not about physics, chemistry, or computers. Removing ignorance about what we are. Now you begin to make a connection between what Ramana Maharshi again and again and again said. When you're listening to this talk, what's important here? Ramana Maharshi would immediately say the talk is not important. What's important is find out who is listening to the talk. So, again and again, Ramana Maharshi's central teaching, find out who am I, is exactly this. It is a sadhana for removing the ignorance, not to become Brahman, but to remove the ignorance that I am not Brahman. So the central sadhana, the method used is knowledge. Knowledge of who am I. Why is this central? Why not meditation? Meditation should be central sadhana. Or why not devotion? Why not elaborate rituals? Those are all sadhana, those are all methods. Why not all of those? Why only knowledge? Because it's logical. What is the problem? The problem is ignorance. If the problem is ignorance, follow me on this. If the problem is ignorance, the solution can only be knowledge. It's logical. If my problem is I don't know physics, what's the solution? Should I worship the physics textbook? No, the solution is knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of physics. If I don't know who I am, Advaita Vedanta is telling me, Ramana Maharshi is telling me that you do not know who you are. If you knew who you are, all your problems would be solved. If that is the central problem, then the solution will always be knowledge. Are you with me on this? How do we get this knowledge? Knowledge of who I am. The traditional method is, in Advaita Vedanta, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Shravana means hearing. Literally it means hearing. Practically it means a systematic study of Vedanta. From a teacher, the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita and the Brahma Sutras and numerous texts, Vivek Chudamani and Ashtavakra and Avadhuta Gita, Vedanta Paribhasha, and so many, Panchadashi, numerous, it's a vast body of literature. And yet in all of this, only one thing is going on. Ramana Maharshi, Arunachala Ashram, and all that vast Vedanta scriptures, all of that is about only one thing. There's only one thing going on there, or here. What am I? Who am I? By the way, just a little clarification here. You know, when Ramana Maharshi says, who am I? Find out who I am. I would refine that question a little bit. We are to take the question as meaning, what am I? Because who am I, especially in English, the answer would be, I'm an American, I'm an Indian, I'm a Hindu, or I'm a Muslim or a Christian, I'm a Democrat or a Republican. Those are our identities. That's not what Ramana Maharshi was asking. Closer to what Ramana Maharshi is asking us to inquire is, what am I? Am I this thing of flesh and blood? This body? It is born and it ages and it decays and gets old and it dies. Is this what I am? Or the mind, thoughts, emotions, feelings, ideas, memories, desires. Is that what I am? Or something beyond these, body and mind? So that's the question when Ramana Maharshi is asking. Who am I means, what is the reality about this thing which I call I, myself? Another thing, you all know it very well. When Ramana Maharshi says, ask yourself, who am I? He is not asking for an answer. There's this famous nice Zen story. You know, the Zen teacher will give you a koan, a question, like a paradoxical statement, and you're supposed to meditate on it for hours and hours and hours together. So, for example, what is the sound of one hand clapping? So the student gets that koan and starts meditating. After some time, after a few hours, he comes, I've got the answer. The Zen teachers actually have a stick. Luckily, you don't have that here in Ramana Ashram. They have a bamboo stick on which they'll whack you on the head. Even, I've got the answer. And this teacher hits him on the head with that stick. Go back and meditate. Strange, you asked me to find out what's the sound of one hand clapping. I'm trying to tell you, you are hitting me. Anyhow, he goes back and meditates. The second time he comes running, even before he says anything, the teacher hits him with a stick on the head. Go back and meditate. And the final time he comes, he's calm and quiet and his face is shining with deep inner peace, and the teacher doesn't hit him with a stick. The teacher bows to him and said, you've got it. So who am I is not meant to give an answer. You're not supposed to give an answer or write a thesis about it. Who am I? And that's not what Ramana Maharshi is asking. The central way of the method in Advaita Vedanta to get this knowledge is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Systematically studying and hearing Vedanta. Once you do that, the knowledge should arise from within. Manana and Nididhyasana, the two other components, thinking, reasoning, and Nididhyasana is meditation. They are secondary. This hearing is primary. Somebody asked me, hey, is it just listening, to talks or studying something, listening, is that enough? Now that's a question that one must Consider very carefully. Apparently the answer seems to be very simple. Listening can't be enough. Our primary urge is to do something. Today's subject, sadhana. What am I supposed to do? Yet we understand, from what I have said, we understand doing something is not the solution. If you want to do something, remove the ignorance that you are not Brahman. And that removing the ignorance does not come from doing something, rather from knowing, from knowledge. And knowledge comes from listening, from study, from the knowledge which is transmitted by the scriptures or by the teacher. That has to come alive within us. So yes, I'll make a radical statement here. If you ask a strict Advaitin, is listening enough? It seems to be deep inside us, is that we have to listen to the teachings and then go out and do something. That's deeply ingrained in us. A strict Advaitin would say, listening is the final sadhana. The central sadhana is to listen to this teaching, because ultimately we want the knowledge which removes all others. Then what about meditation? What about bhakti? What about rituals? What about service and all of that? All of those culminate in this listening. All other sadhanas will culminate in listening to this truth. What is the truth? The Guru tells you that thou art. Tattvamasi. And we will get the realization, Aham Brahmasmi. So that this transmission from the Guru, the highest form of transmission is the silence which Ramana always bathed in and always radiated. That's the highest form of the teaching. Otherwise, one step lower is when the Guru teaches with words, the words of the Upanishads, that thou art. So listening is in fact the highest sadhana. In Advaita Vedanta, listening is the highest sadhana. All other forms of sadhana, whether it's Patanjali Yoga or Bhakti or whatever, you learn how to meditate, suppose Patanjali Yoga Sutras. You take up the book, you learn about meditation. Unless you actually go out and do meditation, it's not much good. You're a scholar of yoga philosophy, but you need to do that. You take up a book on puja. You learn how to do the puja. But actually, until you go out and do the puja, it will not give you a result. Advaita is different. See, I'm trying to emphasize the difference between Advaita and everything else. Advaita is different. Advaita is pure knowledge. You're not supposed to go out and do something. You're supposed to know it or understand. In fact, I'll put it in this way. We are in the realm of sadhana here. And I told you the goal of sadhana ultimately is not a positive goal to make you something. The goal is a negative goal to remove the delusion that you are not Brahman. Now, I'm reminded of what one Swami said in the Himalayas. Very nice. He says in Sanatana Dharma, in spiritual life, in eternal religion, there are only two ways. Only two ways. Jano ya mano. Jano means know it. Realize it. Get it. See it. That's jano. I can't. Then the other option is mano. Believe. You see, most people in the world today understand religion as faith. In this country, for example, the word used for religion, especially these days, is faith. What's your faith? Advaita Vedanta is not a faith. It's realization, it's knowledge, it's understanding, it's insight, it's getting it, jhana. Otherwise, until we get it, mano. Okay, take it for granted that it is correct. What the scriptures are saying, what Bhagwana Ramana is saying, what all the masters are saying is true. I don't get it yet, but I'll try to get it. So that is the core practice. Listening to these teachings and trying to understand it. When we try to understand it, there'll be doubts. And these doubts are clarified in the second component of practice, which is mananam. Shravanam first. Mananam is thinking, reasoning it through. I have doubts. How can I be Brahman? What is Brahman? How can I be Brahman? When I reason it through, all the questions that come to our mind. All the questions that come to our mind have answers. It's a vast body of all these texts. All the questions that come to our mind have been asked at some time or the other, and the answers are available. That's mananam. At the end of Shravanam, we should, if we don't get enlightenment, at the very least what we should get is all these teachers, all these scriptures, they are telling me one thing: I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. That's what they're telling me. That's what it's all about. That's the end of conclusion of Shravanam. Then the problem is that doubts come. Mananam is the next stage. At the conclusion of Mananam reasoning, the first stage was, I know what the scriptures are telling me, but the problem was, I don't get it. I don't understand. I've got so many questions. At the end of the second stage, you will say, I know what the Upanishads and Vedanta is telling me, and now I understand it. I get it. But then what's the problem? I get it, but it seems to be an intellectual understanding. If I have the problem that it seems to be an intellectual understanding, I get it intellectually, but in my life it's not making a difference. I don't doubt it, what Vedanta is telling me, that in some sense, yes, I am Brahman right now, but it doesn't seem to be real to me. I'm still behaving like that old person. Then the third stage comes, nididhyasana, which is assimilation of the truth. Assimilation of the truth. By meditation on what you have got in Shravana in the first stage, what you have clarified in Mananam, now you say, I know what Vedanta teaches, I am Brahman, and I'm clear about it now, no more doubts. But it still has to become real to me. Then you meditate on that. Vivekananda says, tell yourself again and again that I am that, I am he, soham, till it tingles with every drop of your blood. Then it becomes real to you. Nididhyasanam. So that is the method, sadhana. Today's subject, sadhana. Let's see how I am doing. Okay, we have time. Now what happens? Is this enough? Again, we scratch our head and say, Swami, I have been studying Vedanta for 30 years. What you're saying is fine. I've been coming to the Arunachala Ashram for 25 years or 40 years. But my delusion is not gone. I'm studying it. I'm listening to it. I hear it all the time. I chant and I meditate on it, and all of that I do. Not clear. It's not becoming real to me. Then what do I do? Then Advaita Vedanta says, the problem is, it says vikshepa, they call it. The first problem was ajnana, ignorance. And the solution to that problem was Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. The solution to ajnana is jnana. Ignorance is always removed by knowledge. And how do you get knowledge? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Now, our complaint now is, it's not working. We've been trying it all this while, it's not working. What's the problem? Vedanta says the problem is vikshepa. The mind is not grasping it. The teacher transmits, we are blocked. The mind is scattered. It's unable to assimilate the teaching. It floats on the surface. So the problem is this flickering of the mind, this inability to assimilate. This is, in Sanskrit, it's called vikshepa, the scatteredness of the mind. Scatteredness of the mind is the problem, then the solution will be concentration of mind. Scattered mind, problem. Solution, concentrated mind. And what is the method for concentrating the mind? Now we are on more familiar ground, meditation. So this whole science of meditation, according to Advaita Vedanta, is a sadhana, is a method of practice, no doubt. It is useful for concentrating the mind. So you have the whole science of meditation. Meditation is also a sadhana, but we must realize it's a method, a sadhana. What is the goal of that? According to Advaita Vedanta, the goal is not enlightenment. Enlightenment comes only from knowledge, jnana. But method of this meditation, the goal is concentrating the mind, focusing the mind, stilling the mind, so that the truth becomes evident. So that's meditation. That's also sadhana. But we must be clear what is the goal of that. It's a method, so method must have a goal, purpose. The purpose of meditation is stilling the mind, quietening the mind, focusing the mind. Okay, Very good. We start meditating, sit with eyes closed and sit straight and breathe in this way and repeat a mantra, whatever. Problem. What problem? Swami, when we do that, two kinds of problems. Either we fall asleep, especially when it's nice and warm inside, or the other problem is the mind is scattered. I try to meditate. I'm meditating on Om or on Shiva or on my Ishta Devata, but the mind runs here and there. Scattered mind. Mind is disturbed, chanchala. Arjuna asked this question to Krishna in the 6th chapter of the Gita. The meditation methods you have taught me are useless. Arjuna says. Why? Because you might as well try to catch the wind. The mind is so restless. It's like trying to catch the wind. Now what's the method? The mind, why is this happening? Why is the mind not getting focused in spite of dedicated meditation? Vedanta says there is another tier of the problem, another layer of the problem. What is the new problem now? Chitta mala, the impurity of the mind. It's because the mind is impure. We have dumped garbage in the mind for years and years and years in our lives, and we believe in many lives. So many lives of garbage has accumulated. That's the meaning of the Augean stables in the myth of Hercules, who cleaned out the stables which were dirty. That's basically our subconscious. Because of the impurity of the mind, we are unable to meditate. So now the problem is impurity, chitta mala in Sanskrit. And what is the solution to impurity? Simple. Chitta shuddhi, purity of mind. How does purity of mind come? One very powerful method for purifying the mind is karma yoga, is unselfish action. There are many ways, but unselfish action is recommended in Vedanta. If you purify the mind, when the mind gets rid of its dross, then it's very easy to meditate. One Swami in the Himalayas said, Samadhi is very easy. I'll give you Samadhi in 2 minutes. You'll meditate for only 2 minutes, you'll get Samadhi. He said in Hindi, Shart hai lekin shuddh man lao. I'll give you, but there's a condition. I'll give you the deepest meditation, Samadhi, but come with a pure mind. Well, therein lies the trick. A pure mind, not so easy to attain. Okay. We'll pause here. I'll give you the big picture. What has been outlined so far. Remember, the subject is sadhana, spiritual practice. Why spiritual practice? Any kind of practice is meant to give you a certain result, right? So we have talked about 3 problems, 3 solutions, and 3 methods. I'm summing up what we have done so far. 3 problems, 3 solutions, 3 methods. What is the problem? Impurity of mind, chitta mala. What is the solution? Purity of mind, chitta shuddhi. What is the method? Karma yoga, unselfish action. With a purified mind, then you go to the next level. What is the problem there? Chitta vikshepa, scattered mind. What is the solution? Chitta ekagrata, concentrated mind. What is the method? Meditation. In Sanskrit, upasana. That's where bhakti yoga and raja yoga, meditation, Patanjali yoga, they become useful. That's the second level. Then the final level, the highest level. What's the problem? Ajnana, ignorance. What's the solution? Jnana, knowledge. What's the method? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. The essence of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is Atma Vichara. If you want to compress the entire method of Jnana Yoga into one term, is Atma Vichara. What Ramana Maharshi again and again and again said, find out who I am. If you ask a question about sadhana to Ramana Maharshi, he will not give you a 1 hour long lecture. What is the sadhana? Today's subject, if you ask Ramana Maharshi, he would have said, find out who is asking. Find out who is asking. In the Mandukya Upanishad 7th mantra, there's a term, very deep term used, Ekatma Pratyasaram. Atma Pratyasaram. Follow this I consciousness. Continuously we have this experience. I. I am speaking, I am standing, I am looking at you, I am thinking. But the standing, speaking, looking at you comes later. The constant is this I. And we experience it. This I is not the Atman. Let's be very clear. This I is not the Atman. It's a function of the mind. It's the ego. But in the ego is reflected the consciousness of the Atman. They call it in Sanskrit Chidabhasa. If you follow it back to the source, it'll come to our real self, that is Atman or Brahman. That is the highest sadhana. I'll take questions. So think about, if you've got questions, that's a much better way of discussing this. So let me just summarize what we have done so far. The whole problem is we do not know we are Brahman. If we knew that, none of this would be necessary. None of this would be necessary. Ramana Maharshi never ever asked, what is the sadhana? Why? He's already got it. He's immersed in Brahman, in the real nature, in the self. So no need for sadhana there. That's the highest sadhana. To be always aware. Atmanam satatam janam in the Aparoksha Anubhuti. What's the stage of a Jivan Mukta? Always immersed in the bliss of the Atman, the vision of Atman. Vision not in the sense of seeing this, that I am Brahman, is ever before that person. That person is no longer a person. It's one, he's one with Brahman. So that's the highest. So that's the purpose of sadhana, to become aware of our real nature. How do you become aware of our real nature? The question is, what prevents you? Ignorance prevents us. Take it in 3 stages. Ignorance, problem, solution, knowledge. Ignorance of what? The self. Solution, knowledge of what? The self. How do you get that? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. And the essence of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is what Bhagwana Ramana used to always say, who am I? Trace it back. Now the problem is, we say it's not working. Why is it not working? Then the second tier of the problem, mind is not ready. Mind is scattered. So scattered mind, problem, chitta vikshepa. Solution, you can tell me. Concentrated mind, chitta ekagrata. Method, meditation. Upasana, yoga. We're trying that. What's the problem? Fall asleep. Mind is running here and there, not working. Then what's the problem? Third tier, bottom tier of the problem. The fundamental problem, impurity of mind. Chitta mala. Solution, purity of mind. Method, one method is karma yoga, unselfish action. I hope you've got the metrics in your mind clearly about sadhana. This is from the perspective of Advaita Vedanta, Shankara Advaita. Sadhana is like this. Sadhana, is it required or not? Not required. You are Brahman. What sadhana do you need? So the only purpose of sadhana is to remove the ignorance that you are not Brahman. I'm reading out the matrix, which should be in our minds by now. Now, what is the scope of sadhana? Ignorance, knowledge, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Scattered mind, concentrated mind, meditation. Impure mind, pure mind, karma yoga. What did I say? Problem, solution, method. The method is called sadhana. The solution is called sadhyam, goal. Sadhana method, solution is goal. And why do we need all this? Because we have these problems.
My question to you is, why mind seems to be different than Brahman? Though it's the same. Please, I need guidance on this.
Right. The question is, why does mind seem to be different from Brahman, though it's the same? Is the mind same as Brahman? In fact, Advaita Vedanta says yes. Not only is the mind same as Brahman, the body is also same as Brahman. You say, just a minute, Swami. Don't we always teach, we are not the body, not the mind, I am the self? That's the preliminary step of Advaita Vedanta. In non-dual Vedanta, remember the words, non-dual. If you separate the self, Brahman, Atman, from body, mind and universe, there's the universe out there, the world. Here is the body. I'm not the word. I'm not the body. The thoughts are there. The thoughts are also objects. I am not the thoughts, the mind. I am the witness of an ever-changing mind and body and universe. Now what I've done is a dualism. I've separated Atma from Anatma. Atma means the self, real self, and everything else is not me. This is not non-dualism. This is the first step to non-dualism. So when you say, is the mind same as Brahman? The first answer will be, no. The mind and Brahman are not same. Mind is different, Brahman is different. Atma is the witness of the mind. But that's only the first step. Once you realize Brahman, Atman, that I am Atman or Brahman, then when you look back upon the mind, and through the mind when you look at the body, and through the mind and body you look at the universe, the realization should be, I, the Atman, alone am all of this. Then only non-duality is established. This universe, body and mind are not second entities. Not second, not two, Advaitam. So I'm just confirming what you are saying, that the mind is also Brahman, body is also Brahman, the world is also Brahman. In what sense? When we mistake the rope for a snake, first we have to say it's not a snake, it's a rope. All right? Then you realize what the rope is. Once you realize what the rope is, then you also say what you saw by mistake as a snake is also the rope. Yeah. It's not that there are two things, one real rope and one false snake. There is no such thing as a false snake. That real rope alone appears as the snake. In fact, the Upanishadic examples of clay and pot are better. First, when you say it's a pot, the Upanishad says to you, Vedanta says to you, that, it's a pot, but there's a higher reality called clay. Oh, really? What's clay? You investigate carefully, this pot is made of clay. And when you investigate and understand what clay is, you realize every bit of the pot is clay. In fact, there is no second thing called a pot there. It is clay through and through. After you have understood that the pot is made of clay, every bit of it is clay, does the pot disappear? No, the pot is still there. Can you not still use the pot? You can still use the pot. Can you not call it a pot? You can call it a pot, though you know it's clay through and through. In the same way, when an enlightened person realizes his or her own identity as Brahman, then realizes the mind and the body and everything else is also Brahman. Now coming to the point, your question, why does it seem different? It seems different, I'll give you the answer at two levels. The first level is, it seems different because of names and forms. Let me ask you a question. This lectern, podium, is made of wood. It's made of wood. So why do you think it's called a podium? Why is it a podium? Because of the form, rupa. Because of the name, nama. Because of the function. It functions as a podium. Vyavahara. Nama, rupa, vyavahara give it a unique identity and use, and it seems to be a different entity. Similarly, when thoughts come, same consciousness, Satchidananda, but it takes a vritti, like a ripple coming on the surface of the lake, like a little wave coming, then we say it's a wave. It's still the same lake, it's the same water, but we call it a wave because it looks different now, it acts different now. So one reason why, the surface reason, why mind seems different from Brahman, body seems different from Brahman, world seems different from Brahman, is because of name, form and function. Nama, rupa, vyavahara. One word, maya. One word used in Vedanta is maya. Because of that. That's the preliminary answer. The real answer, you know what's the real answer? Why it seems to be different from Brahman? It seems to be different from Brahman because we do not yet realize Brahman. We don't know Brahman. The moment you know Brahman, you know in the sense not as an object, I am Brahman. You realize what is meant when Advaita Vedanta speaks about Brahman. When we realize that, then we also understand immediately how mind is also Brahman, body is Brahman, universe is nothing other than Brahman. The word used is, you have to use it carefully. All this is nothing other than Brahman. It's not exactly Brahman. Brahman is Satchidananda. And all these are appearances of Brahman. I can say the podium is an appearance of wood. I cannot exactly say the podium in itself is wood, because if you smash the podium, or before it became a podium, it was still wood. It was a log of wood. Right? But you couldn't call it a podium. So podium by itself is not wood. If podium goes away, has the wood gone away? No. Wood is real. Podium is a name, form, and function of the same wood. So if you say, give me the answer in one sentence, mind, body, and everything else appears to be different from Brahman because we have not yet come to a clarity about what Brahman is. After enlightenment, will the mind, body, and world appear to be different from Brahman? Be careful about the words. Will they appear to be different from Brahman? Yes. They will appear the way they are appearing. But what about the enlightened person? To him also, it will appear the way it is appearing to us. But the difference is that person knows without the least shred of doubt, it is Brahman, it's me. It is I shining forth in all these ways. There's no doubt about it. It's very clear in that person's mind. Yes. Yes.
Swamiji, thank you very much for your grace. I appreciate that and your speaking. I have a question about Sat Chit Anand and its context to Shunya. When I read a text here, particularly like Shri Devi Kavotara, it's Lord Shiva speaking to Bhagavati saying, this is what's going on here, the unsupported Shunya. Sat Chit Ananda, to me, is being, bliss, truth, Satyam. How does Shunya fit into that? Because if your witness being, is the witness that Shunya? That Shunya the witness?
All right. The question is the relationship between Shunya, the void, emptiness, and the Vedantic formulation of Sat Chid Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. How are the two related? They seem to be opposite. How are they opposite? Being and non-being, is and is not. They seem to be opposite. That's why there's a big conflict between Buddhism and Hinduism. Buddhism seems to say there is no Atman. Find out who you are, the self. Buddhism seems to say there's nothing. What will you find? There's nothing. That you're not there. That's what you will find. And Hinduism seems to say you will find that you are the immortal Atman. Now they seem to be in conflict. They seem to be, but they are not. Actually, when you investigate deeply, when you see the most sophisticated formulation of Vedanta, which you find in Advaita Vedanta, and the most sophisticated formulation of Buddhism, which you find in Madhyamaka Buddhism of Nagarjuna, which is the central philosophy of Tibetan Buddhism, for example, Nagarjuna's conception of Shunyata, and Advaita Vedanta conception of the Turiya Brahman. To your amazement, you find the same language is being used. Gaudapada says the ultimate reality is Chatushkoti Vinirmukta, beyond the four alternatives. Nagarjuna says Shunyata is Chatushkoti Vinirmukta Tattvam, beyond the four alternatives. What are the four alternatives? Is one, is not two. Both is and is not, three. Neither is nor is not, four. And what's the truth? Neither of these four. Who says this? Advaita says this. Who says this? Buddhism says this. But Advaita calls the truth Brahman, Satchidananda, and Buddhism calls it Shunyata, emptiness. And it's beautiful actually. If you consider both, you will see both are talking about the same thing from different angles. One from a positive angle, one from a negative angle. Many scholars will not agree. Many traditional Vedantic scholars will say Buddhism says it's emptiness. I remember I once had this argument with one of my teachers who was a professor, retired professor of philosophy, a master of Advaita Vedanta, who's written texts. Nirodharan Chakravarti, he has a text called The Concept of Falsity in Advaita Vedanta. So I said Shunyata and Brahman are the same, isn't it? So isn't Shunyata the final truth? I was studying Nagarjuna at that time. And his answer was exactly what you said. But if Shunyata, the void of the emptiness, is the final truth, To whom is it the final truth? To what? There must be a knowing consciousness there. To even say it's empty. In that case, it is Satchidananda. So that's the traditional Advaitic approach. Now, the way I formulate it is this. Swami Sarvapriyananda, one of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, who wrote a classic book on the life and teachings of Ramakrishna, the great master, he says in that book, what they call emptiness, we call fullness. What they call shunya, we call purna. We call purna. How does that work? To me, the Nagarjuna, so the Madhyamaka formulation of shunyata is precisely right. Advaita Vedanta, when it says Brahman, is precisely right. You see, it's this way. Buddhism seems to say that the ultimate truth is nothing, zero, shunyam. And Advaita Vedanta, if you read Vedanta, if you follow Vedanta, you seem to get a sense they're talking about something, within quotes, thing called Brahman. It seems to say. But the Brahman is not a thing. Brahman is the witness of all things and the absence of all things also. It's not an object. Objects and the absence of all objects are both cognized or both supported by the same Brahman. Brahman is neither something nor nothing. So, what is the final formulation? It's not something, it's not nothing. I call it no thing. Buddhism seems to say it's nothing. Vedanta seems to say it's something. Both are not the final understanding of Buddhism or Vedanta, of Madhyamaka or Advaita Vedanta. The final understanding is Advaita Vedanta also clearly says Brahman is not a thing. It's no thing, not nothing. It's no thing, meaning thereby it's not an object. I'll put it this way. Everything that we experience, all that we have experienced in life till now and whatever we'll experience in life, they are all objects. Oh, I have experienced Brahman. Have you experienced Brahman? Then it's an object. You have not experienced Brahman. You are Brahman who experiences that thing. That has to be understood. And I think they're good correctives to each other. Madhyamaka Buddhism and Advaita Vedanta. Madhyamaka Buddhism, Shunyavada, removes the misconception that Brahman is a thing. The ultimate reality is a thing. And Advaita Vedanta removes the misconception that it's nothing. It's neither a thing nor is it nothing. What's it? It's you. It's precisely you. You are the witness of all things and you're the witness of the absence of all things. That you. Yeah. In fact, in Tibetan Buddhism, they have formulations which are very much like Advaita Vedanta. What is the ultimate reality? They call it the clear light of the void. When they say emptiness, they say it's empty of all things. I don't know if that clarifies things or makes it confusing. Yes.
Is this the problem with the language pointing?
Yes.
And that is where the science comes into that level.
Yes. You are precisely right. The whole problem at this level is language. Why is it a problem? Remember, language was never devised to talk about the ultimate. Language was devised to talk about our empirical world of vyavahara, our transactional reality. The reality which we live in, where we talk and walk and eat and go out and do our jobs and enjoy our lives and suffer. All of that, language can describe beautifully. Language can even work up to the level of conventional religion. There is a God and there is a heaven and you are somebody who is devoted to God and will go to heaven. That also works. Language operates in the framework of time, space, and causation. I think Wittgenstein, the great philosopher, maybe the greatest philosopher of the 20th century. He put it beautifully. In his book, Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus, he put it beautifully. The limits of the world are the limits of language. Or the limits of language are the limits of the world. He put it beautifully. And he says, what lies beyond, we must pass over in silence. Limits of the world, this world of time, space, and causation. Language is suited to describe it. But when you talk about something which transcends the reality of this world, that Satchidananda or that Shunyata, language cannot adequately describe it. That's why one of the things again and again said about Brahman is avang manasa gochara, which you cannot express by language, which you cannot express, cannot grasp by thought. You can't see it, you can't hear it, you can't smell it, taste it or touch it. You can't think about it, you cannot speak about it, you cannot understand it, you cannot remember it. Then how is it at all we're going to realize it? It's because you are it. So language does not work. Now the problem with teaching is, whether it's Shunyavada, Nagarjuna or Shankara, they have to use language. Upanishads are language. Now how can you express the inexpressible? How can we express the inexpressible? So the Upanishads in Vedanta and also in Tibetan Buddhism, they have devised techniques to get around this problem. What techniques? One or two I'll share with you. That's the ultimate. But language. How can you use language to express the inexpressible? There are some techniques are there. For example, you are saying that you cannot speak about it, right? You cannot describe it with language. Yes. All right. But what you can do with language and say what it is not. You can't say what it is. But can you say what it is not? Yes. That's the method of neti. Yeah. They call it the apophatic method, the negative method, the via negativa. Neti. Not this, not this. How does it function? This universe, everything that you see, hear, smell, touch, think, whatever you have thought about, whatever you have understood in life, whatever we may yet experience in life, all of that, A to Z, it's not Brahman. Okay? Then the next problem will be, if this is not Brahman, then what remains? Nothing. So Brahman is nothing? That's not Brahman either. It's not all things, it's not nothing. You are thrown immediately into silence. What is that silence? It's you, the real you. If you eliminate all things from your conception, self-conception about yourself, body, mind, and identity, eliminate all things. Eliminate means in understanding. You will come to that. So that's one technique language has used. Upanishads have used. Neti. There are other techniques. One technique is where it's called implied meaning. We will not go into that. Lakshana, technique of implied meaning. That thou art, tattvamasi. That means Bhagavan. Thou means you. Now remove all the qualities of Bhagavan and remove all the qualities of the Jiva. What remains common to both of them is Satchidananda. So there are these different techniques which have been used. Highest of all the techniques is silence. That Bhagwana Ramana used again and again and again. But he could communicate. In our level of silence, we'll just fall asleep if you just sit quietly. But Ramana Maharshi could communicate the highest truth through silence. There was another question? Yes. I'll come to you. There's a question there. Yes. Yes.
My question is, if you don't have mind, how are we going to transact in the world we are living?
Right. Thank you. Amani Bhava and the Atman are one and the same. Here's one thing. Mindless state. What is Amani Bhava? Literally translates into not mind. But not mind, what does he mean? You have to be precise. You have to go deeper into that. Does he mean that I'll be just a zombie sitting here, catatonic? They'll put me in a hospital, in a facility. No. Whenever we have such doubts, one direct way of solving the doubt is looking at the lives of those people we consider to be enlightened. We know that Ramana Maharshi is enlightened. Look at his life. Was he able to function? Oh, yes. Everything. From cooking food to teaching the devotees to feeding the cows and to everything. If you see his life, he could do everything that anybody else could do and more, much more than others. If you look at the lives of all enlightened people, they are fully capable of functioning. Are they in Amani Bhava? Yes. The deepest meaning of Amani Bhava is the Atman itself. See, there are two levels of understanding Amani Bhava. The surface level, the preliminary level is Samadhi. Samadhi, where the mind stops functioning, that which is beyond the mind, that remains. Patanjali says, Yogash Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of the modifications of the mind. And then what happens if the mind modification ceases? What happens? Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Third sutra. The witness self is appreciated in its real nature when the modifications of the mind cease. Imagine, I am standing, I am speaking, I am talking, I am thinking, I am feeling. If I drop the standing, talking, thinking, feeling, the pure I remains in itself. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. The witness self is appreciated in its real nature. That's what Patanjali says. That's one kind of Amani Bhava, where the mind stops functioning. At that level, if you say, can a person function in the world? No. The person will remain immersed in Samadhi. And Ramana Maharshi used to do that sometimes, especially at the beginning, before he went into the Sahaja. At the beginning, when he first got the breakthrough, what happened? Do you remember in his life? He remained absolutely immersed in the bliss of the self. In a nirvikalpaka avastha. Was he able to function? No. Somebody else had to come and take care of him and feed him. Otherwise, the body would have gone away. And it nearly did. Body was damaged. There's so many stories we read. How he went under the basement of the temple and stayed there. And unable to function. Because you're not even aware of the names and forms. You are immersed. If I say that clay pot, if you are immersed in the clay identity, you won't be able to use the pot. You're not even aware of it being a pot. It's just the clay. If you are immersed in Satchidananda, an infinite ocean of existence, consciousness, bliss, then I am a body and that is food. I have to take the food and put it in this body. That feeling will not be there at all. Then the body will deteriorate and die unless somebody takes care of it. So that's one kind of Amani Bhava. But there is a higher level. There is a deeper level. The Sahaja state which Ramana Maharshi inhabited after that. Where you can use the mind. If you use the pot to store water in it, is it any less clay? It's still clay, right? Every bit of it is clay. You can use water. You can store water, Ganges water in it. You can call it a pot. You can use it like a pot. You know all the time it is Satchidananda. You can use the mind and the body and function perfectly well in the world, better than anybody else. Look at Krishna, greatest karma yogi ever, fully enlightened, all the time conscious of his divine nature. In fact, many of the enlightened persons, they function fully well in the world, better than most other people, and they were aware of their own divine nature all the time. That is the real meaning of Amani Bhava, and that's what Gaudapada means ultimately. But this preliminary stage, one may not be able to function for some time. Sri Ramakrishna, for example, used to go into Samadhi every now and then. Then he could not function. He would stand like a picture. Often a description is he was standing like a picture. Even his heartbeat would stop. So that is a Samadhi avastha. But in Vedanta they call a Vyutthana avastha. Coming out of the Samadhi, seeing the world and the body and the mind and knowing it all to be Brahman. When you realize that the ornaments are gold, the necklace is gold, the earring is gold, the bracelet is gold, but that does not prevent you from putting the necklace here and the earrings here and the bracelet here. You know it's all gold. You don't think that, oh, it's gold. I'll try to put the bracelet here and the earrings I'll try to put here. No. You know the name and the form and the use. But you know the reality is Satchidananda. It's still an ocean of Satchidananda. Yeah. That is the real Amani Bhava. The thing is, it's available to us right now. Atman itself is always in Amani Bhava. It's easy to realize Brahman, that we are Brahman right now. Right now. It's always available to us. Our only problem is, I think, I am the body trying to realize that I am Brahman. No. Are we bodies trying to realize Brahman? Or are we Brahman under the delusion that we are bodies? Are you a body with consciousness, or are you consciousness thinking it's a body? It's a body-mind. Vedanta says you are Brahman right now. You are Brahman right now. Just now. Only with the appearance of the mind and the body, through the mind we think we are this body. Change the sadhana in this way. From now on, think that I am Brahman. How can I get rid of this body identification? That body will still be there. Don't worry, body will not disappear. It will be there with all its problems, it will still be there. But I am not it. Are you aware of the body? Are you aware of the body now?
Because of the pain or...
Yes. Correct. Okay, do it step by step. Yes, correct. No, that's perfectly honest. That's wonderful. So there's a pain. If there's a pain in the body, are you aware of that, the pain in the body? Yes, of course. That's why I'm telling you. If you are aware of the pain in the body, who or what is the one which is aware of the pain in the body? Right now, I feel the body. What feels the body? You will say mind. What feels the mind? That which feels the mind and the body, that one is not the mind and body. That one is you. Vedanta says something incredible. We say, I feel the pain, so I am in pain. I feel the misery in my mind, so I am miserable. That's why I want to be spiritual. I want to go beyond misery. Vedanta says, if you feel the misery in the mind, then you are the knower, the witness of the misery in the mind. You are not miserable. If you look at this, you're looking at this podium. Are you a podium? No. You are the witness of this podium, right? Follow this carefully. You're looking at the podium. So are you a podium? No. You are the witness of the podium. The knower, you, and the podium, known, are two different things. In the same way, if you can regard the body just like you regard the podium, then you will see you are not the body. You are the knower of the body. Immediately your question will be, I know what is in your mind. But if you hit the podium, I am not hurt. But if you hit the body, I am hurt. There's a pain in the body. Follow this carefully. The pain, do you know the pain? Do you experience it? Yes. If you experience the pain is also no different from this object like a podium. It's also an object. You are the witness of the pain also. I'm not saying pain is not there. The very fact that you report the pain is there. That means you are aware of the pain. If you are aware of the pain is an object, you are the awareness. You are aware of the absence of the pain, you are aware of the presence of the pain, and very soon you will be aware of the absence of the pain again. That awareness is always free of pain. The awareness has no pain. It reports the presence of pain in the body. Think about that. Tell me when the time is up. I delight in this, so I can carry on all afternoon. Okay, there's a question there. You have to wind up, yes. Okay, that's the last question, yes.
I had a question about everything is so beautifully deconstructed, starting from sadhana,
Yes.
problems, karma yoga, and the purifying of mind.
Yes.
How do you relate to that? Or how is it connected? Or how do you
Right.
press the unselfish service? How do
Right. Karma yoga, how does it purify the mind? There are two stages to it. One stage is dharma, a moral, ethical life. Impurities like deceit, like lust and greed and anger and hatred, those have to be counteracted by a moral, ethical life. As they would say in this country, clean up your life. As far as possible, clean up the life. Let it be a moral and ethical life. But karma yoga is beyond that. One can be moral and ethical within the limits of morality and ethics. I still pursue my selfish goals. Yeah. I'm paying my taxes, but I want to be a rich person who's paying taxes. I want to enjoy my life. I'm not going to overstep the bonds of decency, but I'm going to go out and party and have fun. So those are also self-oriented goals. It's still selfish. When I go from ethical and moral life to unselfish action, I am doing something for the benefit of others. When I offer a puja, I say, here is the puja I offer to the Lord. I don't want anything in return. I love thee, therefore I do it. So then action becomes unselfish. You see, otherwise what happens is, all our action, ethical or unethical, is basically meant to make this fellow happy. This bundle of flesh and blood, I think this is me, so all that I do, good and bad, is to make this thing happy. But here is the fundamental problem, that this is not me. So if you are going to realize that, I have to cut this knot of selfishness, which ties me to this body-mind. So a powerful method is to engage my body and my mind in unselfish action. Advaita Vedanta, finally, what realization will you get? I am all of this. So why only act for the benefit of one particular body-mind? Then let my actions be for the welfare of humanity. Let my actions be, if you are devotionally oriented, let my actions be a puja to the Lord. So that is karma yoga. How does it help? It cuts at the very bond of selfishness. Why is selfishness a problem? Selfishness with a small s. What Ramana Maharishiji is talking about, find out who I am, is self with a capital S. That self is common to all. But my selfish action is directed to this particular body and mind, or to that which is connected to this body and mind. My family, my wife and children and my relatives and my company, me and mine. That's what ties us deeply to this earthly life. That is the source of impurity. So that impurity sort of clouds the mind. The more unselfishly I act, the more I viscerally begin to feel, I am not this body and mind. This is just one body and mind. There are so many bodies and mind. What's so particularly special about this body and mind? Nothing. So karma yoga, by counteracting our innate selfishness, purifies the mind. It replaces selfishness, body-mind bondage with unselfishness. So that's how it purifies the mind. It's a very, very powerful tool for purifying the mind. It's a pure mind which can be concentrated by meditation. And it's the concentrated and pure mind which can immediately grasp when somebody like Ramana Maharshi says, find out who I am. It grasps it immediately. Not only grasps, holds on to it. Many of us, we get it, then we slip away from it again. Thank you very much. I enjoyed this session. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.
Happy birthday கருணா कृष्णपिङ्गलम् ऊर्ध्वरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः ईशानः सर्वविद्यानाम् ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्माधिपतिर्ब्रह्मणोऽधिपतिर्ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो
जीवातुश्च मे दीर्घ
दम्पती सुन्दरी सुन्दरेशात्मजाय मङ्गलं वरपराशरगोत्रजायते प्रमादिषूदनुषु पुनः शुभवाय जय मङ्गलं दैत्यशुभमङ्गलम् कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानशो परेण नाकं विहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते तद्यतयो विशन्ति वेदान्तविज्ञानसुनिश्चितार्थाः सन्न्यासयोगाभ्युदयशुद्धसत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोके तु परान्तकाले परामृतात् परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे भगवद्वितापं परमेशभूतं यद्यन्तरीकं पुरमद्य सद्ग्रस्तम् तत्राविरहृतं गगनं विशोकस्तस्मिन् यदन्तस्तदुपासितव्यम् यो वेदादौ स्वरप्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिरीनस्य यः परस्य महेश्वरः
अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल शिवा